Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, e-readers. I'm doing the e-reader book tag. Okay, so this is a fairly new tag that was created by Micah Cummings. I will leave a link to Micah's channel in the description for the video. Definitely worth checking out. So I wasn't actually officially tagged in this by anyone, but I saw it on Michael K. Vaughan's channel and I liked it so much, I thought I would do it. So I'm a big kind of gadget nerd as well as being a book lover, and e-readers have for a long time been, very much part of my reading life. So there are 7 questions and then the kind of tag people question at the end. So let me dive in. So first question is, what was the first e-reader you ever owned? What was your reason for getting it? And were you a reluctant convert or an eager one? So I was definitely eager. The first one I owned was, I think it was a Sony PRS 505, which is a really nice looking device. It's kind of silvery. I'll put up a picture of it. It's kind of silvery and really felt really good to hold. The problem with it was that the Sony store for getting books was rubbish, and Amazon have really done such a fantastic job of locking down that market that it ended up feeling like it was more sensible to go down the Kindle route. So that's why I switched in the end to Kindle. Next question, what e-reader do you use now, or what e-readers do you own? So my main device for e-reading now is this, which is the Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition, so the newest one with the bigger screen. So I'm a huge fan of this device, really nice to read on. The screen's lovely, battery life is excellent, so I really can't fault it. I do have some other ones though, so I've also still got my first generation Kindle Oasis. So I did have a third generation Kindle Oasis as well, but my son's got that now. So this is slightly smaller, and I would still really love the design of this, which Amazon only ever did on this particular device. So the cover attaches magnetically to the device, so you can take it off and read with it like this, and it's really light and comfortable to read on. The cover has a battery built in on it, so when you finish reading you just put it on there and it will recharge the battery in the device from the cover. It's a fantastic design, and I'm very annoyed that they didn't continue that, because I think it's a joy to read on, but I do prefer the slightly bigger screen on the Paperwhite. And then I've also got, so I do sometimes read on my iPad. I've also got an Amazon Fire HD 8, which occasionally I read on, which I got in one of Amazon's many sales, so it was very cheap. And then I've also still got this. I don't use it very much. I got it because it was half price, and it was such a bargain, and it's so cute. So this is a Kobo Mini, which I think is discontinued now, but it's just tiny. If I show you it next to the Paperwhite, you can see it's really small, so it's just really cute. You can literally put it in your pocket, and it's quite a fun device to read on. The screen resolution isn't great, so it's not as nice to read on as the newer Kindles, but it's cute and fun, so I do quite like that. Okay, question 3. Do you read digitally on multiple devices or always on the same device? If you use multiple, how do you decide which one to use? So definitely multiple. As I say, I tend to use the Paperwhite, but I do use my other devices sometimes as well, just if the mood takes me. And also I have the Kindle app on my phone, and I read fairly regularly on my phone. Just if I'm out and about and I'm stuck in a queue for 5 minutes or something like that, I can pull my phone out and catch up on my reading on that. Next question then, do you still read physical books? If so, how do you decide which format to read a certain book in? So yes, 100% still read physical books. In terms of format, I will normally my preference would be to read digitally. I just find it easier and preferable. However, because many of the books I read are older or more obscure, or, you can't get them digitally, or quite often it's actually cheaper to get second-hand physical copies. So what tends to drive my what I read on is what format I've got the book in, if that makes sense, which is probably kind of a nonsensical thing to say, but I will quite often buy ebooks of physical books I've already got if they're cheap. So if they're in like a 99p sale on Kindle, I'll probably buy them and read them that way. So whenever I've got a choice between reading digitally and reading the paper copy, I will read the digital copy. When I do read paper copies, it tends to be either because it's not available digitally or because it was a lot cheaper to get a physical copy. Next question then, what is something you dislike about reading ebooks? There's only one thing I dislike about reading ebooks, and that is that it's very difficult to do this. So if you are here in the book, say you are here in the book and you want to refer to something that was back here, it's really difficult to do on an ebook. There is no simple way to do it. I mean, you can do it, but it just always feels kind of clunky and not particularly helpful. It's not quite so bad if you're reading on like an iPad or something like that. But on a Kindle, just because of the refresh rates and things like that, it's not easy or intuitive to do, and certainly not as easy as just doing that. So that's the one thing I don't like. Oh, and the other thing actually that I don't like about ebooks is it's difficult to see which ones you've got. So on your Kindle, you can see, kind of on the front page, like 9 books or whatever it is. But it's not like being able to look at your bookshelf and go, oh, I fancy that today. So that's the other problem I have with ebooks, which I think is probably something that works in Amazon's favour, is that it's very easy to forget what books you've got and then go and buy more, which is definitely something I do. Next question, would you ever ditch physical books completely and become a sole ebook reader? If so, why? And if not, why not? So yes, I think I probably would. So I do, and other people have said this, there is a difference between reading and collecting books and buying books. They are kind of almost separate hobbies. So I think I can always see myself buying physical books because I think they are wonderful objects. But if every book I ever wanted to read was available cheaply on Kindle, as an ebook, I would read it as an ebook over reading the physical copy, even if I had the physical copy as well. So I think the answer is I would definitely be a sole ebook reader, even if I still bought physical books, which sounds a bit nonsensical, doesn't it? But I think it makes sense. Next question then is, where do you get your ebooks? Kindle Store, library loans, or third-party websites? So Kindle Store primarily. I have borrowed books from the library before, but you can't, with my library anyway, you can't read them on a Kindle. You can, like on an e-ink Kindle, you can only read them on a tablet kind of thing. And I prefer to read on e-ink screens. And I do also get books quite regularly from Project Gutenberg. So that's another good source of ebooks for me. And also I have a subscriber who quite regularly sends me ebooks he thinks I might enjoy. So thank you very much for those, Nathan. Always appreciated. So yes, a mixture of things, but primarily from the Kindle Store. Final question then, tag some fellow booktubers. So I'm going to tag a couple of people who I don't think have been tagged yet, who I know are people who read ebooks, and they are MJ from Reading This Life and Crystal from Fibre Artsy. So really keen to see what you make of this tag. Okay, time for a random book from the shelves. Today's book is one of the first books I reviewed on the channel, I think. It's called I Watched Them Eat Me Alive, and it's a anthology of stories, articles and illustrations from men's pulp adventure magazines of the kind of 50s and 60s. So it's a fantastically entertaining book. Some of the stories are just absolutely brilliant. Like genuinely really good gripping short stories, but all of them basically about people who are in remote locations coming across wild animals who then proceed to eat them. So they kind of all go in pretty much the same direction. But yeah, a fantastically enjoyable book. I liked it a lot. So yeah, I hope you found that interesting. Do let me know in the comments if you're a big ebook reader and which devices you use. And as always, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.